right, so I find it only appropriate that I begin what I'm about to say with paraphrasing the legendary Broadway lyricist Oscar Hammerstein. I'm sure this is the right crowd for that. Maybe. I'm going out on a limb there. The last time I saw Paris, his heart was warm and gay. I heard the laughter of his heart in every street cafe. Now, I'm not kidding you. This original lyric was about the city, but it's definitely not about the Paris that I come to honor tonight, although Paris's heart is very warm and also very gay, so it works out. Tonight, I join all of you to express our love and my own gratitude to the genius of Paris Barclay. When I first joined the cast of Glee, yes, if you know him, give it up. We're going to be doing a lot more of that, so save it for when we bring him out here. When I joined the cast of Glee, you guys can imagine the explosion of talent that I saw around me in song and dance and script and on and off stage, because you guys see it every week, I'm sure, on Fox, Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock, or on Hulu, whatever the hell you use at home. Backstage, of course, we saw it too, and we felt it. We felt it in the eyes of the guidance and the coaching and the trust and all that inspiration of gifted artists and directors like Paris Barclay, who love nothing more than the art of telling stories. But you don't have to take my word for it. You can ask any of the cast of Glee, or ER, The West Wing, Lost, The Good Wife, NYPD Blue, House, CSI, Sons of Anarchy, you name it. Just flip through the channels, and I defy you to find a cast or script that Paris Barclay, as a director, did not have his hands in perfecting. That's where Paris Barclay does his magic year after year. Backstage, out of the footlights, and when the camera is focused on somebody else, that's when he inspires us to do our best and to bring our whole person to the story. That's exactly what he does with his own life, and by being true to his craft, his identity, his values, his family, and the entire community. His peers love him too. Last year, Paris was elected president of the Directors Guild of America, the first African-American and openly gay president in the history of the Guild. I'm sure there's a joke in there, but you can fill it in yourself. Paris Barclay has received truckloads of awards as an artist and philanthropist and a role model. He is all of those things, yet tonight's award is different. The Human Rights Campaign reminds me that this award signals an exceptional visionary, someone whose values and life's work and dedication to equality lifts us all up. I am very privileged to join you in honoring my friend, Paris Barclay. The next time you see Paris, you will hear the laughter, his wonderful laugh, if you know it, laughter of his heart, just as I do. Take a look at this brief video.
How will I know if he's thinking of me? I try to phone, but I'm too shy, can't speak. Falling in love is all bittersweet. This love is strong, why do I feel weak? How will I know? How will I know? How will I know? Really hey, how will I know? I say a prayer. How will I know? Every how will I know? I fall in love. How will I know? Yeah, how will I know? I'm asking you, how will I know? Yeah, how will I know?
I've seen the world, and I'm sure now more than ever that I belong with you. And I'm sure your girlfriend's great, but you can't recreate what you and I have. If you want me, I'm here.
We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
All the Marriage Recognition Act does is ensure that a radical social agenda isn't thrust upon an entire country that isn't ready for it
32 states
yet.
have passed laws banning same-sex marriage. The states are doing a fine job protecting themselves from a radical social agenda without a federal shield.
Josh,
I like you guys who want to reduce the size of government, make it just small enough so it can fit in our bedrooms.
I had to be reborn to escape that doom. I just hope something comes along to liberate my son from that fate.
Yeah, I hope so.
When I began, I thought the director was dogmatic and told everyone what to do. And what I've learned in the process of coming out and being openly gay, that acceptance And the encouragement of other people and the collaborating is really what the art form is about.
The way he reacts when he is treated differently. He reacts by building a bridge. He reacts by finding commonality.
And the second Emmy goes to Paris Barclay.
I was thinking if there was a way to unscrew all this stuff, I'd give Steven this, and like the cast would get the lady, you know.
No one would have predicted that Paris Barclay would become the first black president of the Directors Guild of America, because we would have all expected that that liberal Hollywood union would have elected a black president long before the United States of America did.
Here we are again, Bobby. How are we going to pull this one off? The same way we always do. Together, one scene at a time. Are there not really talented women directors? And my real feeling is that people just don't like new people, because the same old people deliver for them and they can keep their jobs, and there's a security in the sameness. But it's not really helping the place evolve. Around the world, the things that we do together are the most desirable commodity, and that's something we can be proud of and something that's going to continue to remunerate us. The shows that have been the most successful on television actually right now are the most diverse.
President Barclay said this to the LA Times. The more important question is, why aren't the studios and the networks doing a better job as far as hiring talented women and minorities?
Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you want me.
When we brought these children, one from foster care and one shortly after he was born, into our home and became completely responsible for their lives, I recognize that that is the best personal decision that I can make. You're embracing the others, you're embracing the nobodies, you're embracing the people who are different and separate and apart, and you are giving them worth and dignity and hope. I've been able to actually use being out to support causes I believe in, particularly Outfest and Project Angel Food and the Black AIDS Institute. I've been able to use that to reach out to other people, both gay and straight, and say, hey, these are my people and we need help, and that's been a lot easier. So I think it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned. I used to not be open about being gay, and therefore I got into some uncomfortable predicaments, like the stuff in high school where you have to hear people disparaging gay people and you have to sort of like smile and go along with it because you don't want people to know what your story is. If you're open about who you are, people who don't want to work with you, they won't call you. People who do want to work with you and think that's an advantage for their particular show, they will call you. And people who don't care will call you. So that will protect you from working with the assholes who do care, and then also encourage the people who think it's an asset or don't care to go for you. So why not? May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and grave despair.
Please congratulate HRC Visibility Award recipient, fellow Broadway geek, and my pal, Paris Barclay.
Hey, baby. I know it's late. Wow, thank you, Darren. Your hair looks great. I promised him a Vapor Rub if he would come out and do this, and now I guess I owe him a Vapor Rub. I really want to thank HRC. Chad, you've been amazing. I mean, throughout this evening, I've been so moved that one person can take this organization into such a great direction and have such a record of accomplishment in such a short time. So thank you, Chad, and everyone at HRC. Tammy Billick, who made me do this, you know, Richard Galliano, who helped make it happen, and Ben, who edited that. He took all the sad parts out of my life, which I really liked. So let me get on with it. I want to quote Lana Wachowski, who received an award like this in San Francisco a couple years ago. She said every one of us represents a negotiation between a public and private identity. That's her, and that's me, and that's so many of us who are in the negotiation business. So since they told me just saying thank you and getting off wouldn't be enough, that I should give you a little nugget inside, I've decided I would craft this exciting lecture for you tonight, because it's just the right time for a lecture, don't you think? This lecture is entitled Visibility. There's more to it than meets the eye. Thank you. I worked so hard on that. But it's just a few short stories that, I mean, will show the artfully crafted video, which I found very moving, and it tells a triumphant story, but it does sort of gloss over some of the parts that I think you guys, at least in this room, need to hear. Some of the struggles that actually transpired that I think are worth it. If I go back to when I was a freshman in high school, I went to an all-boys school called the Lalomere School for Boys, and I was the first African-American student there. And one of my classmates was John Roberts, who is now the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. John was a very nice gentleman there. I have nothing against John Roberts. We were in a play together. It was Your Good Man, Charlie Brown. I played Snoopy. Future Chief Justice John Roberts played Peppermint Patty. For those of you who know the canon of Your Good Man, Charlie Brown, you know she's not actually called Peppermint Patty in the play, just Patty. And since it was an all-boys school, this was a performance that was done, yes, you guessed it, in drag. Now, did you see one of those pictures when he was up for his nomination? You did not see one single picture of John Roberts in that wig, but I have them. And I will release him. Release the Kraken. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is Snoopy is a very gay role. I mean, he's crazy, he's funny, he's dependent, he's fashion forward with the scarves, he has the best songs, he's exuberant, but at that time I was very much in the closet. And so I hid behind an extremely extroverted role that was comfortable, quintessentially gay, to be not myself. I really have a lot of sympathy now for actors who have the struggle with coming out, because even in high school I felt, yeah, sometimes it is better to play something different and to be somebody that has certain aspects of your personality, but not all the aspects. Very visible role, but I was very invisible in it. So that's the first little story that before I came out shows you. Let's fast forward now to New York. I'm in advertising, I'm a copywriter, and I decide that there's one good thing about me that I can use, which is I'm black. Okay, I can't really be disguised, I'm black. So in the advertising world at that time, it was kind of an asset because everyone wanted to have like somebody black around. They might have a black account, or they might have to sell beer or cigarettes, and I would know, malt liquor. So I was always employable as a young black advertising copywriter. I went from agency to agency. I increased my fees. I was not a young black gay copywriter, just a black copywriter. So that went very well for me until it didn't. Until I started getting kind of drunk and kind of high and kind of messed up. And I wondered what was going wrong with me. And later, as I look back in perspective, I see that part of what happens when you're disguising yourself and hiding parts of yourself and not being true in your life is you can have a certain degree of misery, which you can also, in my case, try to mask with other substances. So I was pretty screwed up, but fortunately for me, and I won't go into the long story, I got struck sober and I became fabulous. Now, jump forward. I'm inspired, I'm not drinking anymore, I moved to LA, I'm gonna be a movie maker, and the very first movie I get fired from in prep. That's not good. And then I don't work for a year. I think, what is wrong with me again? Because everything is now dependent upon how people see me and what jobs I get. So finally, I do get another feature. I finally get it, and I'm working on it, and I'm still closeted, and somebody finds out that I'm gay and uses it against me in a very nasty way. And that kind of ruined my experience in making that movie. And I also realized something very, very powerful, that people can take things that are your secrets and they can use them to hurt you. And I really didn't understand that, despite having little instances that, as a child, I didn't really understand how damaging secrets can be when thrown in your face. So now I'm visible, I'm outed, there's no way to go back in, I'm naked, and it starts to kind of work for me. I always said the director, if you're looking at something and you're thinking about the director did something wrong. The director's become too obvious and has become more important than the story or the characters. And so I used it as my mantra, and it was yet another way to kind of hide. And although now I'm outed, and now I'm obviously black, and now I'm thinking that this is working out, I'm getting sadder and darker. I'm not drinking, I don't have any of the stuff that I used to prop myself up. And so before long, actually, I'm thinking about killing myself. And when we've gone through the whole it gets better period in the past few years, I have related so powerfully to those kids because I didn't have people to look up to. And I didn't have a lot of people who were doing this ahead of me to say, you could be all right on the back end of this. I just didn't have that. I mean, Liberace wasn't making it for me. You know, I needed somebody else that I felt was like me. So I tried to kill myself, and the way that I do it, because I'm fabulous, is I get into my Firebird, and I go to the Santa Monica, the border, the rocky border there by Gladstone's, and I'm going to drive my car off into the Pacific Ocean very fast. I can't swim, so I figured this will do it. And I'm absolutely dead serious about this. I'm in despair. And when everything should be kind of going all right, I just don't believe in the world anymore. So, unfortunately for me, I have the radio on, and I hear, when you're weary, feeling small. It's my favorite song in the world, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. And I'm looking out on the troubled waters, and there's this song on the radio. And I take it as a sign. And I take it as a sign that maybe there is something else out there other than myself that can help me. Maybe there is some inspiration. You know, even though this is just a fluky thing, it gets me back on the road. You know, I always quote Helen Keller, and she says, the most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or touched. They must be felt with the heart. You know, so that changed me, and I said, okay, maybe I can be taken care of, and an ascendance sort of starts. And I go back to my theory of directing. I'm staying out of the way. My career is starting to come together. I'm starting to get comfortable in my own skin. I'm owning my secrets, you know. I'm out of the way of my work, and I'm almost there. It starts to look like that video. You know, you get awards, you get love, you're doing fabulous shows, you meet a nice man, now 15 years ago, still a nice man. This is when the camera on the big shows goes to him, and you see him going, oh, honey. But we don't have the camera, because we use the money for raffle items. And guess what? You know, after a few years together, it's 2008, and we get married. We get married in our backyard. And it's that time in the window, there's only a few months left. Do you remember? We've got to get married now because they may take it away from us. So we have a marriage, and we say, don't bring us presents. Give money to this organization that's going to help us fight for married rights, and that's what we do. And all of our friends come, some who had never been to a gay wedding, and our good friend John Duran officiates it, and it's very moving. Yeah, shout out to John. And you know, you think this would be a really terrific, happy ending, but I left out one little thing. I left out one really important thing, which is September 11th. Back then, a few years before all this happened, September 11th happened and had a profound effect on us. Because Christopher and I were in Boston. I was doing a play, a musical that I had written, and we were coming back on September 11th, that morning, on Flight 11. But then we said to ourselves on Sunday night, the play had opened on Sunday night, why are we waiting until Tuesday morning to go back? Why don't we just go back Monday, because the play's dark anyway, we're not going to see the show again. So we're inspired again to change our plans. We fly back on Flight 10, which is Monday night, and everyone thinks we're still on Flight 11, which, as you know, is the one that Muhammad Atta flew into the first tower of the World Trade Center. My family thinks that, the theater thinks that, and everyone thinks we're incinerated. So we are actually at home watching this on TV like so many of us did, just completely horrified. And I'm wondering, what does it mean? You know, why are we there? Why did we make that decision? Why were we inspired to do something different? So what we came to was that maybe we're supposed to do something with our lives and not just, you know, amass money and live a happy, you know, fabulous life together. Maybe we're supposed to do something else. And we had seen this movie at Outfest, Daddy and Papa, which is about these two guys in San Francisco who had adopted kids. And we were so moved by it. And that became part of our inspiration that led us to looking into adoption here in LA County and discovering there are 35,000 kids at that time who were just in the system and not being adopted. And many of them were fairly chocolatey like me, and that broke my heart. You know, that they were less desirable because they were darker. And I thought, wow, that's the world we live in? So, I mean, I could rail about it and I could do a TV show about it, but what we decided to do about it is adopt a child, which became 2 children. And as some of you have seen, they're here tonight. Hi, William's waving at me now because he knows I'm mentioning him. Hi, William. Cyrus is here. They're 9 and 11 now. And we realize they live in a different world. And we live in a different world, too. And part of the beauty of the Human Rights Campaign is it's been a big part of making this different world possible. This struggle that we've been talking about and that the Vice President has been talking about has in large part been led by the organization that you have helped support and you have helped grow. And that is so huge. I mean, we can all drive our Teslas and we can recycle stuff, but you know, and to be part of the change that we want, we got to be part of organizations like this. You know, so I am really proud to be a visible part of this organization and to be part of the change I seek. And Dr. Maya Angelou, who is not a personal friend, but I did do a commercial with her once upon a time, she said, and I'm quoting her now, "You are the sum total of everything you've ever seen, heard, eaten, smelled, been told, forgot. It's all there. Everything influences each of us. And because of that, I try to make sure that my experiences are positive." And that brings me to my final story. So now we're parents, and we have these kids, and they're in Little League, and we're the only gay parents who have kids on the Little League team. And, you know, Cyrus is going to every practice, and he's showing up at every game. He's the most regular of all the players. And he's getting up to bat, and he's not getting a hit. And a lot of times, he's got a great on-base percentage because he likes to watch the ball just go, and the pitchers are kind of bad anyway because it's really Pee Wee League. So he's kind of figured it out. I'm probably better off if I just watch. Because I will get on base, and I will run. But I don't seem to be able to hit. So we're going to every game, and, you know, because we're fabulous, and it's a lot like Modern Family, we have the right seats, and, you know, we have the drinks, and we have a, you know, we have our Modern Family stuff. And we're there representing the gay family, and we're thinking that our son's not really, you know, he's not the best player on it, but the team loves him, and the coach is supporting him, and we're a part of this Little League thing, which I've never experienced before. So it is the end of the season, and they have made it to the championship, and I'm telling this absolutely true story. And it's a little like Charlie Brown. You know, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Again, if you know what happens in that game, it's the big game. Charlie Brown, our son Cyrus, gets up, and it's really, I think it was 4-4. We had men on base. They could win the championship if Cyrus could hit the ball. And, you know, whether you're gay or straight, you're sweating at this point. You know, you so desperately love your child, you want him to hit the ball just once this entire season. Hit the damn ball. Well, because this is the end of our evening, and because it's a true story, Cyrus hits the ball. Didn't you? Didn't you hit that ball? And it went right through between first and second. And the gay daddies went, yeah! Yeah! And the straight daddies went, yeah! Cyrus hit the ball! And the umpire went crazy. The umpire runs to first base to give him a hug. And it was so exciting and so exhilarating, we forgot that there was any difference. We were just parents whose kid had won, who's helped the team win. And I thought, is this the new universe where this has been forgotten? You know, is it? Have we entered the twilight zone? Where we're just other Little League parents hoping for the best for their children? I gotta say, I felt it in that time. I felt we're visible, we represent, yet at the same time we're the same. And I think as this goes on and as time changes and as the Vice President spoke about, this new generation is going to come up and that is what they're going to believe. Because that is what we've shown them. If we want to have families and we want to love who we love, it's just as good and it's just as right, and it shall be. And it shall be loved by everybody. You know, maybe not in, you know, African countries, but, you know, I can't help the black people. So anyway, I leave you with just one modest suggestion. It's a very modest suggestion. I think everyone has a story, and everyone needs to get in touch with their story. My friend Dustin Lance Black has always said that it's so important that we tell our stories, and that we come out with them, and that we represent the life that we want to live, and we tell them to our friends, and we tell them to people both in public and in private. It's so, so important. So I'm going to encourage you to do that, but I also know a lot of you here, and a lot of you happen to be in the business of storytelling in the field that I work in. You know, you're not all directors and writers, but many of you are. Some of you are actors, some of you are casting directors, some of you are publicists, some of you work behind the scenes in different advertising and publicity for all the studios. All of you have a part. And I gotta tell you, I know movies are really fancy, and the political stuff we do is really important because it moves the dial in such a way, but as President Biden, or Vice President, ooh, I said President Biden, he loves that. As the Vice President has noted, by changing the culture a little ahead of the curve, we've helped the culture catch up. He always cites Will and Grace. I think Will and Grace had a huge effect. So did Ellen. So did West Wing. That episode about gay marriage that you saw a clip from that I directed, which was the first West Wing I ever directed, was in the year 2000. 2000, Aaron Sorkin was writing that story about a Republican congressman fighting against his own gayness to represent that side. Amazing. But you know, there's also Survivor, and there's also Glee. And Darren, thank you so much for being that straight guy in Glee who represents everybody and doesn't feel bad about kissing and comes to HRC and loves everybody equally. You are an amazing example. You know, and there's Modern Family, and you know, there's Scandal, poor Dan Bogatinsky. Oh, sorry if I'm spoiling it for anybody. But all these shows have helped change the world by making us more visible. And so HRC is giving me this visibility award, and I'm humbled and honored, and I think a lot of it has to do with I have this union of 15,000 members. And before presidents of the DGA have been Frank Capra and George Stevens and, you know, Joseph Mankiewicz and Robert Wise, and then there's me. So that's a great thing, and I'm proud to be it. I'm proud to be visible, but visibility can be a double-edged sword, as I've talked about before. You know, it may be more than meets the eye. There is a sacrifice, as you've seen in earlier parts of my life, to being visible and being out there. You get hit with a lot of shit. But you know what? This is not my job. And this is what I'm doing. And this is what I encourage all of you who have access to any other human beings. You don't have to have your own TV show, just any other human beings to tell your story to and to represent the world that you care about. I mean, I gotta say, that's our greatest tool. I am with Abraham Lincoln. He liked the brothers. That's what it says in my teleprompter. He liked the brothers. I just say whatever it says. Actually, what it says is, and this is what Abraham Lincoln did, it's a very famous quote, that my dream is of a place and a time where America will once again be seen as the last best hope on earth. Man. When we look back at this time, in 20, 40 years, we're going to see that this is the time that we change the direction. This is it. What you're seeing happening now isn't just big news for us. Chad's right. We've changed the tide. We've gone from 33% not approving of our relationships and our ability to love who we wanted to 59% in a very short time. And that pendulum's swinging, it's not going to swing back. This is not. And here's how we did it. We did it by being visible, by being seen, and for those of us in this enterprise, by doing it one scene at a time. For those of us who are not in this enterprise, by being seen as part of the struggle, and by being representative of the world that you care about. So, in closing, I love you all. I am very honored. Thank you so much for being a part of HRC, and thank you so much for helping me to be a happily married, gay, African-American man.